Hello and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. I am Mr. Vosley, and again, we have K-Max.
I'm pleased to be here, Voz.
And Jimothy.
Good evening.
Or Tin Man.
Well earned. Well earned.
We'll see how Tin Man will debunk all of our emotions this episode.
Crybabies.
All right. This episode is brought to you by the word fatherhood. So, leading up to this episode, we watched some movies that only by chance, this was no intent of mine, but had some questionable mothers in them, you know, from Florida Project and Under a Microscope, E.T. So I figure we give it back to the fathers now and find some movies that that kind of gave us a wrong or a bad perception of fathers, I guess. I had each of you, including myself, come up with a movie that critiqued fathers and a movie that changed our perception of a movie after becoming a father. So first half, let's critique ourselves a little bit and talk about some movies that didn't do us any justice. All right, Tin Man.
Okay, so I'm going to go with first. I went with The Judge. Robert Duvall, Robert De Niro, and Robert Downey Jr. That's what it is. So this movie takes place in a small town with the father being Robert Duvall, plays the judge of this small town that he's been presiding over for years. At a young age, Robert Downey Jr. leaves, becomes a lawyer, and never comes back home. So the movie starts off after his mother dies, and they come back for the funeral. And the relationship between the father and his son is such a negative relationship that Robert Downey Jr. makes no contact with his father. They haven't spoken with each other in, I want to say it was like around 20 years or so. It's 18 or something like that in the movie. But the father, or the judge in that movie, is starting to have mental health issues, lapse in memory and judgment, and they find that he's been going through chemo. And then eventually he's strikes someone with his vehicle, hits someone, and then kills them, and goes back home to eventually be arrested. And Robert Downey Jr. is kind of brought back in to defend his father, whom he's got this horrible relationship with, against a murder trial. So the relationship between the two of them is awful throughout the whole thing. And I guess if I were to point any fingers at fatherhood, him not making any type of attempt at creating a connection with his son for 20 years or so, it's a rough spot for them. But as the movie goes on, they eventually make a connection. They eventually come to an understanding, and then his father does end up going to prison where he dies.
Wow.
But it was spoiler alert.
So I have not seen the movie, but
sorry about that.
Well, I mean, the whole show is spoiler alert because that's all we do is discuss movies.
Yeah.
So do you feel like his character had any redemption throughout the movie then, or
only in the end? Only in the end, when Robert Downey Jr. is kind of caring for him, like he falls down in the shower. He can't take care of himself, can't make it to the bathroom and stuff, and he's got to physically help him and take care of him. And there comes a point where he starts to humanize him, where they make jokes together, start to see. Eventually, you find out why he was so harsh on his son. It was because that guy he killed, who was constantly going through jail and prison and whatnot, had said to his, said that, whenever, I forgot what he said. The person who he had killed, he's like, I can piss on their grave and then I can piss on your wife's grave because they're so close to each other. Something like that. He said that to the judge because his wife had just died. And when Robert Downey Jr. was younger, he saw that same guy doing the same things he was. So he was so strict and harsh on him as a child that Robert Downey Jr. just took it as like, my father must hate me. Coming to realize later on that the father was trying to protect him from becoming
I see.
this awful person.
So, wow. So we got a spoiler alert for my own pick here. We'll discuss it after K-Max, but Road to Perdition is like this. That's my pick for this critiquing fathers, and it's like the same,
Right in the same vein.
the exact same, yeah.
So what makes it interesting is the courtroom drama part where Robert Downey Jr. is the lawyer defending his father against the murder, and as they're finding more and more stuff out, more and more of it like goes, this guy was a pillar of the community. Everyone seemed to love him. The only person that was at odds with him was his own son. And as he's trying to defend his own father, all the evidence is coming out that he actually did commit the murder. Like he did drove the other direction. There's video camera footage of him at one place, there's video camera footage here. There's blood on his car, and he's kind of, a Robert Duvall who's a judge who's been presiding over this community for years. So he's kind of brushing them off. And as you find out later on why he did it, why he treated him that way, and there's like a humanization of his character later on.
He's like a small town.
He's
like
a small
very
town.
Big fish, very big
Yes,
fish.
very big
town.
fish in a small sea. Yeah.
It's my favorite
small town.
role before Oppenheimer. That was my favorite Robert Downey Jr. role.
Was this one in The Judge?
Was in The Judge.
Yeah.
And then my second favorite, Robert Duvall, next to The Apostle. But Robert Duvall I thought the two, when you said that, I was like, oh, I wish I thought of that. But then you claimed it early, I believe, too.
I
so
did.
That was a good claim.
As soon as I thought of it, I was like, I was going to just be a surprise and throw it out there. Like, just in case.
That was a good get.
Call dibs.
I think that was a real good get.
And watching that movie, I came to, someone had told me this, that how you relate to your father, how fathers are related to their sons is they're idolized, demonized, and then humanized. And that couldn't fit better with that situation was, where you kind of feel like your father's the greatest thing ever. And as soon as you become of age, or you have those moments where you're kind of butt heads with him, and they become the worst person in the world at times, and then eventually they become humanized, and you understand probably when you become an adult or you become a father, and you're just like, oh yeah, I had that coming. That was necessary. I deserve that,
Now, when Robert Downey Jr. had to take care of his dad, like I'm assuming towards the end of the movie, did he start to understand why he did it?
More
or was
stuff
it just
came out,
that
and
he
then
knew.
No, he eventually told him more stuff, and then he found out exactly why he was so harsh on him. Like the father was like intentionally hard on him, and he didn't know why, and it was because he had displayed same behaviors, the same, childish antics, but it was like, oh, the kids were out late and they might have broken into a store or they caused some problem, but he was doing the exact same thing as this other guy who was so lax on, and then committed some horrible crime. And he was like, he's doing the exact same thing as this kid, and I was laxed on this kid, and I can't be on him. If I'm in order to protect him and save him from himself, I need to be the hammer that keeps him in line. And so the father doing that drove a wedge between the two of them, and ended up pushing Robert Downey Jr. to the point where as soon as he was 18 or whatever, he left and never came back. And the only reason he came back was for his mom's funeral.
Did he forgive his dad for acting that
Very
way?
much so.
Okay.
And at the end, there's very much a point where I think they let him out of prison because he only had like 4 months to live. So they do send him to prison for his crime, and he takes full responsibility for it and everything. But he does go to prison, and then they let him out for like the last 4 months of his life, and they have those moments where they can still kind of reconcile. And it's all leading up to that. There's more and more understanding. There's a big pissed off arguments between the two of them because he's trying to defend him, and he doesn't even want him to defend him.
Right.
But I think Dax Shepard is his like de facto lawyer, or his public defender, who's like, he plays like a clown lawyer, like who's like, well, I kind of got this fishing business. He's got like a side business, so he's like a lawyer on the side. So he's like, no, I have to do this. So that's a good one for fathers being put in such a bad light. Because you look at him like, like I totally understand from Robert Downey Jr.'s perspective, and only by the end of the movie you're kind of understanding it from his side. And you're like, it makes sense. But the tension and the courtroom drama part of it is such a good movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that's great stuff from the Tin Man right there. The heartfelt stuff right there.
Yeah. Did it penetrate the impenetrable tin chest?
So, for those of you out there, my father is a police officer, and I too had those moments where the hammer came down hard on us, and because he saw it from the law enforcement side of things, where I'm like you weren't a kid too, so. And same thing, I was the oldest, so I caught all the I caught a lot of the initial father coming down hard.
That you were the example.
I was the example, and then when it worked or didn't work with me, then they got down to my brothers where they were like,
the last
okay,
one's just whatever.
Yeah.
It worked. They can help.
Babies of the family over there, they know it. Christoph, awfully quiet over there.
No, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about my own father too when it comes to it, because there was a lot of absence of that, and it was very present. Mom was the mom was the hammer, and so when I look at my pick, I looked for someone who was pretty much contrary, someone who was the inverse of what my father was. And so I picked Dead Poets Society. And I picked it because when it was released I was a junior in high school, about the same age as these prep school kids, trying to find a spot to go to college. And so a lot of the conversations were similar. So I'm actually going to read some notes here because I want to make sure that I don't miss some things. Specifically, the dad in question is Mr. Perry, Neil's dad. Just a quick little rundown of Dead Poets Society, attending an elite prep school, Welton Academy, and taught by a non-traditional professor, John Keating, played by Robin Williams. And he challenges his students to be themselves and encourages them to venture out and find their own unique path. Should be an experience that promotes personal growth as well as intellectual. Well-rounded students should benefit from all of this. Not Neil. He's ripped from such nonsense, in quotes, and forbidden to take part in any kind of extracurriculars. And the idea of being a theater student or being in the class play is just nonsense by his father. Mr. Perry, who's played by Kurtwood Smith from a 70s show, and just plays it perfectly. He's not allowed to take the road less traveled, which is a poem that is brought about and gets the kids all thinking, man, maybe there's a different way to go about it. And Keating's so good. Keating, yep. Keating is so good. Robin Williams is so good. He calls the boys in and he tells them, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse saying that whatever unique story you have to tell, you have that ability. So the contrast of the caring and nurturing person is played by the teacher. And you see that stark contrast with the dad, with Mr. Perry. He's not allowed to take the road less traveled. His path of becoming a doctor was preordained by dad, preordered by his overbearing father. He dropped them from extracurricular school activities because they were a distraction to him becoming a doctor. So Neil finally finds his passion and is very, very excited to tell Todd that he found purpose, his roommate. Todd immediately shuts him down by saying, "Will your father let you?" And Neil's just broken by it. And he says, "Can't you just let me believe that I could do this for a minute?" He's just broken by that. There's a scene following the play between Neil and his dad where he actually asks his dad for permission to pursue acting. He knows he's going to say no. But he's like at the end of it, and he said, "Can I do this?" And asks his dad, full well knowing he'll be denied. Culminates with Neil shouting, "I've got to tell you what I feel." To which his dad says, "What do you feel?" finally, like sarcastically, "What do you feel?" And Neil's just broken and he whimpers, "Nothing." It's like the end product of what his dad has done to him. Mr. Perry broke his son's spirit and crushed his dreams. He took from him any future and any hope of becoming the man Neil wanted to become. This is when he broke. The suicide was just a symptom of the breaking. He broke him when he asked him for permission, saying, can I do this? And it was just pretty much laying it out on the line, saying, Dad, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Is there any way you're going to let me do this? And his dad, of course, shot it down. And then he hollered, I got to tell you what I feel, Dad. And he's like, finally, he hollers, what do you feel? And he says, nothing. And then later that evening, he takes his own life. I picked that particular scene to talk about, and I picked that character because I think the biggest indictment on a father sucking would be not accepting your kid where they're at, not accepting your kid for who they are and what their dreams are. And very often we get that with sports dads. I see it a lot being a coach and a teacher, living vicariously through their kid, so their kid never is enough. Mm-hmm. And it pisses me off, to be honest with you. It gets me very upset when I see that as a coach and as a teacher. You see it also in moms when they want their kids to be beauty queens and pageant winners and whatnot. It's a lot of pressure to put on a kiddo, and it's just really dangerous, I think. And I think Neil took it to the nth degree, the worst case scenario that any human being could imagine, that a kid gets pressured so much that they end up taking their own life. I think of like the people with sexual orientation. Also, they probably feel similar things, and that was one of Neil's things too, was experimental at very least. And I think that was a big fear of his dad too. A lot of the traditional values of, well, this is what you're going to be. Mm-hmm. You're going to fall in love, and you're going to have a wife and 2.5 kids and drive an Audi and be a doctor, and this is what you're going to be. And what it is you're just transferring all of what your hopes and dreams were. And I think that we're all a little bit guilty of that as dads. We want good things for them, and we want better for them. And that's why we work as hard as we do and sacrifice like we do for our kids. But I think that the reason why I look at this dad as such a monster is that his son was actually making more and more effort to cry out to him, saying, please let me do this. And very often I think kids don't do that. They just turn in, mm-hmm. and they're like, okay, I guess I'm not going to be what you want me to be. And we live with adults all the time. We see them who live with the damages that their fathers do to them. And, we all carry some scars of it. But, I just, shout out to my own father. He's far from perfect, but I think if there's one thing he was mindful of all 8 of us kids, is that he tried to find good, and it's hard in my gang. He tried to find the good in all of us and celebrate it. And that's not masculine, and that's not popular, but he still does it today to all 7 of us now. He finds it, and he digs hard for it, and he helps everybody see that. And man, oh man, this dad did the opposite of that. And so there was no redemption for him. I'm glad there was none. He found out that it was his gun that his son used, and he was just tortured and tormented, and he deserved it. Mm-hmm. And I loved seeing it. And his wife blamed him, and his wife hated him, and he deserved it. And I loved seeing it. And I watched that movie. It's part of my English curriculum to watch it because it has a lot of great poetic devices and things in there. And I just think that a failure as a father, we all fall short. Earning sometimes we get selfish with our time because we're human beings. But I think when you fail your kids most is when you have unrealistic expectations and you don't love them right where they're at. And you're trying to somehow, live vicariously through them. It's like, yeah, we all do that a little bit, but don't lose the main thing because they're precious. Especially, I'm finding that out as a dad from when they're young, and they're even more precious as teenagers, and they even need that support even more now. They're more vulnerable, if you can believe that, than a newborn kid.
Right.
And so I think Dead Poet Society and that relationship between Neil and his dad, that came to my mind right away, and I was just waiting for one of you guys to claim it, and I was going to say no. So,
well, I think it's. I think there's a lot to unpack. I haven't seen that movie in decades, I feel like, so I'm a little rusty on some of the details there. But I keep thinking about how we tore apart the mom from the Florida Project. And there's kind of this idea of she didn't really know herself what a good parent does. And so she's got her own idea of how to provide for her kid and how to give her kid the best that she can provide. And it's kind of this a similar thing. Thinking of different movies where we were critiquing the father, a lot of similarities to that character of the father just thinking, hey, you gotta be the head of the household, so you need a good job. So good job, all right, there's doctor. So, all right, you're going to be the doctor, you're going to be CEO, you're going to be, this and that. You need to go to school, you need to do this and this to succeed. You need money, you need the house, you need the car, you need education. So let's get all those, let's keep you on track. And this is this. These are rules, this is what you do. I need you to do this. And it's all coming from this place of, that's all I know to offer you.
Yeah.
Is that's how you succeed as a man. And so, like, I see a lot of similarities to the mom from Florida Project. What was her name again? Do you remember? Haley. Where it was, she's not a perfect person herself, but what she can offer her kid is only what she knows. And so we don't know. I can't recall the background of that father from.
There's not much given.
Right.
There's not. They're all well off going to that school.
And from just the time frame of there's got maybe there's some war history, some veteran history behind his character. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it could be he just doesn't. That's what he knows is, hey, if I'm going to raise you, here's what you should do, and doesn't know anything other than that. And I think it's kind of cool, not cool, but I guess interesting to see the evolution, the further we are away from major conflict, the opportunities that children and young adults are getting, this day and age. And so, like, even in that movie's time period, where now fathers aren't, it's not just, here's how you support a household and a family and work your 12-hour shift at the factory and come home to a meal, and that's your contribution to your family. And now it's, okay, now you have to provide emotional support and take your kids to and from this activity to that activity, because they just have so many more extracurriculars now. So it's interesting to see how that evolves, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely, I don't want to give my second one, and I won't, but I love seeing films that kind of speak to those societal changes. And no spoilers, but mine next one does that, and that's why I can see the dad a little bit more different, because it shows over like a course of time, this father, changing, and it's like, here's what's happening in society right now. Oh, okay, that makes sense to me. And I think when I think about it, like maybe like a war veteran, and it was I think 1964 when that was supposed to be the time period. So you had the 60s, and it's probably a beginning. Mr. Keating was probably a blooming hippie, teaching these non-traditional methods, and even like in war, but like in industry, like in new, industry is still relatively new, not totally, but you work them the clock, you work overtime, you provide. This is me, I'm the man, this is what I do. And I had no sympathy for him, though. Even considering those things, I was like,
well, like even seeing, you talked about that character just showing devastation that his son would do that, and with his own gun. It's kind of a comment on, hey, you being a good dad has more responsibilities now. You can't just offer these, 3 keys to success as a father. It's now you have to offer this and support different things, and now people are going to have different interests than you and different opportunities than yourself, and you have to support it, or else this happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of those, my dad did it this way, and look how I turned out. So now you're going to get taught this way so that you can turn out.
Yeah.
Even though the son's got a completely different personality, completely different abilities and wants and needs and whatever. It's just, nope, you're going to do exactly this, and that's how it turned out.
This feels like, I love this discussion because it feels like so natural to talk about fatherhood with you guys. I don't think any of us claim to be dad of the year, but I think we all do a damn good job. Looking at you two guys, I say that, but I know that it's job one. And so, yeah, there's pitfalls. Like I said, we all know perfect, but man, it's the coolest job. And when you see it in film or someone that's glaring, you can pick it out super easy,
So for listeners, the 3 of us all have children, and between the 3 of us, they range from
20.
20 is the oldest, and the youngest, I guess, would be mine. So I'd be born in... Whenever someone asks my kid's age, I'm like, oh, they're born in 2017. I don't bother doing the math from there.
That's smart.
So whatever that is, 6. 6 turning... so the youngest would be then my son, 2019. So turning 5.
Turning 5. So 4.
Yeah,
4
definitely
to
the
20.
youngest.
And then 2, 4.
So
5. 9. 9 kids between us. 3.
what do I have? 2.
2.
I got
Chris has
2.
2.
2 and 5.
So 9 between the 3 of us, ages 4 through 20.
4 through 20. 9 kids between us.
We did pretty good.
So yeah, I think it's. I feel like there's no other time that we could have this this exact discussion about fatherhood in movies.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
My movie for critiquing fathers though is Road to Perdition, Tom Hanks, 2002. So a lot of similarities to The Judge, I guess, where it's
I didn't get to see it yet.
okay. So I'm gonna spoil it hard for you. So Tom Hanks is like a hitman for the mob, or some crime lord, whatever. And there's a parallel. He's got a wife and 2 kids, and he works with his boss, who has his own kid who's grown. So it'd be 007. What is his name? Daniel Craig.
Brosnan? Oh,
Daniel Craig is the other son.
IMDb this. We're talking.
Being a hitman comes with some dark things, and he always had this connection with his boss. It was very similar to father-son, and Daniel Craig's character wasn't too happy about that closeness that they had. There comes a point where that guy organizes the killing of Tom Hanks's family. I think he was supposed to be killed as well, but the only ones killed are his wife and one of his children. And so his oldest child happened to be with him, so he wasn't, or was he with him? Either way, he wasn't home. And so those 2 end up surviving. And it's kind of a, I guess, on the road movie after that, where Tom Hanks is trying to get revenge on his old boss and his family. But it was a lot of, I don't want you to turn out like I did. I don't want you involved in the same things I am involved in. I want you to be better than me. I want you to be in a better place than I am. That type of stuff. So when you talked about all that with The Judge, there's a lot of similarities there.
Is the son Junior? Is Junior the son that survived?
I think so. What does he look like on there? Yeah.
Oh, he eventually becomes Superman. Sorry.
Oh, talk about spoiler alert. But there's a few conversations that they have. Like even the beginning of the movie is a shot behind, because I think they're both Sullivan Jr.
Yep.
So it's behind the kid, and he's looking out onto a body of water, and he says something along the lines of, people ask me if my dad was a good man or something like that. And then it kind of jumps into the story from there. And then it closes up with the same thing at the end of the movie. He's looking at the water. People ask me if my dad was a good man. I tell them the same thing. I say, he was my father. They ask, was he a good man? Was there no good left in him at all? I just say, he was my father. So that kind of puts it in a nutshell. But throughout the movie, there's conversations he has. And one of them was, Dad, did you like, I forget the brother, his own brother. I forget his name. He's probably low in the credits there.
Peter Sullivan?
Peter, yes. He says, did you like Peter more than me? And Tom Hanks kind of gets, kind of stares at him before he answers. Like, you kind of see like confusion or whatever. They said, no, I loved you guys the same. And Michael says, well, you treated me differently, something along those lines. And that's when he admits, he's like, you remind me a lot of myself, and if I treated you differently, it was only because I don't want you to grow up to be like me, type of thing. Mm-hmm. So very much like the judge, I'm trying to save you from yourself because I know what the road that you're on.
Yeah.
Sullivan Sr. gets shot, and they found like some random home with an elderly couple, and they took them in to help him, and they get the bullet out, and they're nursing him back to health. And the woman and Tom Hanks are on the patio of the house watching her husband and Sullivan Jr. do like farm work in the field. And she says, he dotes on you. And he kind of gets like a confused look again. And she says something along the lines of like, he idolizes you or whatever. And it seems like this is like news to Tom Hanks. Like he didn't know, he never paid enough attention to see how much his son looked up to him. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning of the movie, it was, Michael, do this, Michael, do that, set the table, and like Michael goes to get him for, Tom Hanks was kind of a mysterious character in the beginning. You see him like through the crack of an open door, like him taking off like his gun and whatever, and kind of putting it in there. And Junior's like, food's ready, and the father's just like, thank you, and like very matter of fact, and he's always addressed as sir and everything. So it seemed like a very cold relationship between the two. And so as we get to that part where it's only them two, and Sullivan Sr. is in a more vulnerable state with the gunshot wound that he's taking in, like, oh, I've been absent for a lot of this kid's life, and I may have been not the warmest to him, and sound familiar with talking about the judge. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of similarities, like I said, we said Haley, right? Mm-hmm. Where like I'm doing the best I can as what I think a father should be doing. So when he's providing for his family, like, you want to compare, you want to think Haley's a bad person, like this guy's a hitman, like he kills people for a living. Like that's the lowest you could go, I think. And so he's does these evil acts to provide for his family. And it's kind of like, don't you think is that really providing for your family? Like, are you proud to be doing that? Should you be involved in that? Like what kind of what kind of father brings that evilness into their family, when you really think about it. And so when I compare it to the Florida Project, it's kind of the same thing where you see this girl do all these bad things, these illegal things, these disgusting things. How could this person be doing that and showing their kid, all this stuff? And it's in a different light with Road to Perdition, but it's kind of the same thing. How could you show this kid, shooting people up and robbing banks and being involved with these people that do these horrible things for a living? Like, how could you do that? And also, did you just not think there would be any consequences killing people for a living? You didn't think anyone was going to try and get revenge or anyone was going to fight back. And there came a point where if he was going to survive it, but he took on his boss, at night in the rain, and he killed all of his henchmen, and he killed his boss finally. And he made some deal, and he found out where the son was, and he kills off the son, so he got his revenge fully. But he
found the boss's son?
Yeah. So he
Daniel Craig?
Yep.
Okay.
So he does get his revenge on everyone. But you felt multiple times through the movie, it's like, you could just go. You could just leave. And not have this imprinted on your son. It's only you and him now. And you're still showing him, this is what you got to do. You got to get revenge. Even if you're fighting the entire mob or whoever this guy is.
I still haven't seen this movie, and it still seems crazy that Tom Hanks plays this character.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite portrayal of his, but anyway, so you feel multiple times through this movie is like, you could get away, you could just start fresh. Like, now is a good time as any to, you've experienced that this is not the lifestyle fit for a family. So let's cut ties with it, just leave. But he still goes through with it, and he brings his kid along. And there's a few times where his kid is in danger, and he's part of the plan, to rob the banks that are corrupt, or to
take your kid to work day.
And it gets to the end, So to me, it was he chose. I know what he's trying to do, but it's not the best decision. So he's trying to clear up all the loose ends because he's under the impression that this family's still going to try and kill him and his son.
Right.
So he's trying to kill them first, right?
Right. If you get everyone gone, no one's going to be seeking revenge.
Right. But eye for an eye works both ways here. So at the very end, spoiler alert, the person that the boss had hired to kill Tom Hanks after everything catches up to him when they think they're safe and does him in. And Junior comes in after Dad's already shot, and he's pointing the gun at the assassin, and he can't pull the trigger. And you hear the gunshot, and you don't know where it came from at first. But we see Tom Hanks had shot him while he's laying on the ground dying. So he kills the assassin, but it's kind of like a, keep my son pure and out of this, and I'll take care of, take care of the killing and the dirty work. And the son says, that was the last time I held a gun, because all along, like, in that moment, I saw my dad's greatest fear was like me being mixed up in that, or something along those lines. So, I mean, at first glance, you see that, and it's like, okay, the father was a hero figure, wanted to keep his son clean of that. But then, as you think about it, it's why, like I said, like, why were you even involved in this? What is that? What a good father does? Knowing full well your profession is killing people and doing jobs for the mob, or whatever crime boss this guy was. Is that really the makings of a good father? And that's why I chose that, because I felt like it kind of mirrored what we saw in the Florida Project, where it was someone just doing what they know what they can do to get by. You know, she resorted to prostitution. She did whatever she could to try and get
very few
money.
redeemable qualities, but
Shown in a different way here and in a different context, but it's still, you know, this guy's even worse than she is. He's out killing people, but he's got this like honorable sense about him, you know, like, you know, at the beginning there's a funeral and, you know, everything's got like a, you know, they got like the coins on the eyes and, you know, they bow at the casket and it looks like they're praying, I guess, but so it's like all these performances that kind of give the sense of like honor among men and all that. And but you had two bad father figures. So it was Sullivan, I feel, but it was mirrored with the boss and his son, because the boss he knew his son did wrong by organizing the killing of Sullivan's family. He knew his son did that, but still protected him.
Yeah.
So I was like, was that what a good father does? Like, yes, you protect your kid, but at what cost, or at what point, at what line do you continue to? You know, if he's responsible for killing two innocent people and then trying to kill the rest of the family, the Sullivan's family, at what point does the father stop protecting his son, or is it a good fatherly thing to protect your son at all costs? So I thought that brought up some interesting dynamics there too. And ultimately he chooses his own blood, you know, instead of what do you call him? The son he never had was Tom Hanks's character.
is that why that he went after him? Because he treated him more like a son than the
that
actual
was
son?
yeah, that was like his jealousy.
Reasonings for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he gave some false things as well, like, oh, Dad, he was doing this, you know, like that.
Oh, he's rationalizing to him.
I think I can't remember for sure. But, so yeah, the you know, upon further review, even though it was a great performance by Tom Hanks, like the character itself is so deeply
Living by the sword, then dying by the sword.
like just deeply wrong, I feel like.
Yeah, it's funny, like another commentary on society. When you talk about Haley from Florida Project, and I panned her so quick. I'm like, my gosh, this woman, you know? And then I see Tom Hanks' character in Road to Perdition, and it's like celebrated. And I was almost like I call it the bang bang shoot 'em up movie theory. The bad guy dies in the end, the good guy gets his vengeance.
Right.
And protects his family at all costs. And there's this noble feeling I get watching those movies. I'm like, yeah, he got his. Yep, you protect your kid at all costs. Yeah, you mess with my kids, you kill my family, I'm gonna find your grandparents. You know what I mean? And it's almost like justified. And I don't know. There's some movies that I watch, and that's the thrill I get out of it. That's like I root for the guy. Like, yeah, you get, you know, almost like in Usual Suspects, where it's like, you know, he didn't want he shot his own family because he didn't want that to be the last thing you know what I mean? He didn't want them to live in a world where they had witnessed that and had endured that. And it's like, oh man, this guy's a bad, cold-blooded, you know, that's what kind of bad A he is. And the irony is that Tom Hanks, America's sweetheart, you know, plays this. I've only seen Road to Perdition peripherally, I guess. Someone else is watching it. I liked all of it, and it's made sense. What you talked about just now made sense. Connected a lot of dots that I wasn't there to watch, but now I can't wait to watch it now. And I don't doubt that I will have no problem with the things that he does. You know, because I'm like, yeah, they killed your family, but look what you were involved with to start with.
Right.
But, you know, social commentaries, gang violence, conflict in the Middle East. Me and a friend were talking, how do you resolve that? How do you resolve violent intentions and violent actions and violent rebuttals. If it is indeed an eye for an eye, you got to run out of eyes before that logic melts away. And if there's any eyes left, you got to eliminate them. And then, who starts the process of getting past it? And I think of gang violence, man. That's my family you did there, so I have to go do this. And you're like, no, you don't have to. You can cut your losses. And a lot of movies, I'm sitting there like, just get out of it, just go, take your family and go. And I can't wait to watch the movie and see if I feel that too. You said there's several times when you're like, all right, dude, now's the time, get out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's one time they rob a bank because it's corrupt with the boss that he works for.
Yeah.
And it's like, great, you got your lump sum of money, go start fresh somewhere. And instead it's, that was a retaliation for something that they're waiting. Okay, we stole your money, now what are you going to do?
Oh, yeah. Like volleying it back and forth.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, thinking in those movies, I'm always felt like you've poked the bear. That started it. Now, the only way to stop that from happening is to eliminate all of it.
Right.
And when I'm
any threat that's not neutralized is coming for you and your son.
You know what? Want to know why? Because it drives my protagonist. That's what's driving my protagonist. Mm-hmm. So I got to expect it coming back. So it's like, if I don't want my protagonist dying, which he eventually does, I need to eliminate all of them. Well, there was one loose end that appears. I don't know if he was aware of it, though. Was he aware that there was a hired...
Yeah, because they had fought earlier in the movie.
Okay. So it's like, how did he find peace? Maybe he was trying to have that peace for his son at this place.
Well, the assassin himself was played by Jude Law, and I feel like...
Oh, I love Jude Law.
He was kind of like the symbol for, like, the inevitability of anyone involved in this sort of thing.
I see.
So it was like, no matter what, he was going to get, whoever was left standing, he was going to get him.
I see. That's kind of cool.
I mean, and the way that he portrays his character, like, if you're just watching it and you're not thinking about as a father, it's a great performance, and he's a stone cold killer, and just the way they shoot him too, where he's got like his long coat, and there's a couple shots where he's walking down a hallway or an alley, and he's just got this demeanor about him, is just unstoppable, man of the streets type of thing. But yeah, if you go any deeper than that, it's like, oh, would I actually like to be around this guy? I don't think so.
No. It's violent. Was it these violent delights have violent ends?
What is that from? I do recognize that.
I can't remember.
It's not Game of Thrones.
These violent delights have violent ends. Man, I will remember at about 2 a.m.
We say a lot of things and we don't remember.
It's from something, from some media.
Romeo and Juliet.
That's right.
Yeah, blood feud. Another blood feud.
So
it's interesting.
So there's a bunch of other movies that kind of came to mind that kind of made me realize there's a theme when our main protagonist is a father. And me and Tin Man were talking a little bit about it before you got here, K-Max.
I don't even mind.
I think it fits you. But the father figure, their arc it seems to always end in like a self-sacrifice or like this realization like, oh, yes, you are your own person. I understand, and I will take a step back. So what were some of the ones that we talked about that were sacrifice? Like Road to Perdition is one where he sacrifices himself basically going on this road to perdition.
Oh, I got another good one. I just thought of one.
Okay.
Gerard Butler, Jamie Foxx.
Fire? Man? Innocent Man or...
a law-abiding citizen.
Law-abiding citizen, yeah.
That one. Where his kids were killed and he didn't see justice, so he tried to bring everyone else down.
He turns into like the Riddler.
He turns into the new. He turned into the Batman's Riddler. Yeah, bring about his own version of justice, only to see himself be like cause more pain and suffering and death than anyone.
Oh, Armageddon. That Bruce Willis's father
Okay,
figure
with the sacrifice.
that ends in self-sacrifice. Kind of makes me like wonder like what the perception of a good father is, because a lot of these things just end in, oh yeah, life is better without the father, but he was a good guy.
Some of them, right? Well, I mean, like if you're saving the entire planet, that's one thing. But like if you're put yourself in a situation where you have to die in order to let your son live a good life or your family live a good life, what was happening that led you to that point? We had a list.
We did have a
we
list.
just
right?
mentioned 20 movies
Yeah.
before going hot.
I think of fathers like I don't know about sacrificing, but like the movies, what Hollywood tends to do with dads is they make this dramatic act, this fell swoop. I think of I can't remember the name of the movie. Samuel Jackson, Time to Kill, maybe. When there's a convict that raped his kid, raped the kid or something, and
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
and he's like, and he ends up killing him. He goes, "Yeah, I kill him. I hope he rot in hell."
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Did he deserve to die?
Yeah.
Did he deserve to die?
Yeah. And he just said it right out. And I almost cheered. I'm like, hell yeah, they did. And yes, they did. And I hope they do too, Those are, again, I didn't put the buttons there, so I don't feel bad about it. Someone else put buttons like that. But those press all the buttons with me. When Hollywood presents me a character like that and a line like that, I'm like, you get him.
Yeah.
That's your kid. That's your kid. You have to get him. You can't stand there and let that happen,
Right.
Oh, Wreck-It Ralph. Like Ralph kind of is like a father figure to Vanellope, and he goes to sacrifice himself.
That's a good one. But what about the Time to Kill stuff? I always get worried. I don't always get worried, but I have thought, like, how am I going to act when I'm in that situation?
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Where do I draw the line, or where do I cross, or what? How is my conscience going to allow me to go so far?
Dude, this is since I had children, this is the question. I'm like, how do I not be that person?
Right.
And the answer is grace for me. I'm not going to preach, but the answer is grace, because without it, I am a monster. We're all monsters, especially when it comes to our kids.
Pray to not end up in a situation where,
Yeah.
me not being in prison is an option.
I'm not kidding you. It's going to be like, again, God save us from such a day, right? First of
Yes.
all. Second of all, it'll be like having a werewolf as a friend for any of us.
Right.
If anything, God help, happens to our kiddos, it'll be like, okay, I got to keep James away from the moonlight. I got, then that's just how it's got to be. It's like, I know how we love our children, and I know the vigor that we'll protect them with. And again, but for the grace of God go I, when I see any parent that seeks vengeance, because I'm thinking, I mean, even like a drunk driver type thing.
Right.
I see
right.
parents who have to sit there and bury their kids because someone made a decision.
Yep.
And I just think to myself, how do you sit there? How do you live? And the answer is grace for me, because my goodness, that's tough.
I was in, it might have been college, but it was the video of the karate instructor who took the kid on a trip, took the one guy's son on a trip, and then they found out he was sexually abusing the son.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So he was in custody on his way back, and the dad snuck into the airport and waited by the telephones. And when he was in custody being brought back to the city that he was in, the dad turns around, shoots the guy in the head while he's in custody going through the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the dad did a little bit of time while he was going through trial, but nobody would convict him, and he ended up with probation. And the guy who got shot, his brother was like, how is it that fair that he only gets probation after killing my brother? And nobody's backing this guy up. Nobody's like, they were like, yeah, if your brother got brought back to life, they should shoot him again. Like, it was like,
right, man. That's seriously, I think of that all the time. Stuff like that. try not to dwell on it, but man, it gets a scary thing, and it puts the dad thing right into focus. You're like, but it's hard to fight because it's like we're wired to be protectors and providers.
Right.
And it's like, what does that look like? Well, like Vaz said, it looks beyond that right now. There's other things that I got to cater to for my kids. You know, there's so many other more, I don't know, more important, but like equally important things.
And like I'm circling back to like the fathers sacrificing themselves in these movies, and I'm thinking, is that like, can fathers do that? Because it seems like in order to really benefit their families and their kids and whoever the most, a lot of times is this one gesture of self-sacrifice. Like, would it just be best if I just killed myself doing this? Like, okay, I guess I'll do it. So some of the I found some of the movies that we were talking about. Okay. But one of them is Russell from Independence Day.
Oh,
like has no other fatherly qualities. He's like, hey, I can kill myself to destroy this ship.
Hello, boy.
I'm back. Quaid, God bless him.
Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The one that we talked about was the Terminator in Terminator 2. Self-sacrifice. Even, I mean, it's like a long shot that they could track. They're going to send another Terminator and track him using his chips and whatever. He's like, no, I should kill myself.
No.
I got a better idea. Oh, A Quiet Place. John Krasinski's character. Where he even tells her, like, I've always loved you. Well, you're just too stupid to realize it. So I guess I got to kill myself now.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, have you seen that or no?
Oh, yeah.
But like, that's a
I didn't see the new one yet.
I didn't either.
Day one, right?
I want to.
Yeah, it looks good. I like the first two.
But then there's also movies where it's like this, the father has this revelation, like, oh yes, you are your own person and I should let you have your own dreams. A little spoiler alert for James' next pick, but Little Mermaid with Triton. Like, oh yeah, I guess I do got to give you legs.
That's funny. That is what she gets. Like, you're on your own now. You can walk on your own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Literally.
But in that case, like, I don't know, is that supporting them? Just letting go? Like, is that the best fatherly thing I can do is just let go? Like,
at 16.
and like in a lot of like,
wait, we can let go at 16? No, just kidding. Sorry, Annalise. Never. I'll never let you go, honey. I love you.
But like a lot of like the Disney dads are just so like, oh yeah, do your own thing. Like, if they're not at the center of the story, they're just this like lovable character that just, has nothing to do with anything. So I don't know, is that the best fatherly figure, is just not to be involved with anything and just let the kid do their own thing?
Well, what other Disney dad are you thinking of?
Well, let's see.
Cinderella's doesn't have a dad.
A lot of them don't have dads. That's true.
That's probably the problem.
Toy Story.
That's why we're drawn to the Disney princesses.
That's it.
It's awful. Awful to say that. Who let that guy in there? I don't even know who that was.
The issues are coming through.
I don't even know who that guy is. Get out of here.
Jasmine has a dad.
How about
the Sultan?
The Sultan, like, just wasn't involved with anything. It was like, oh yeah, he's a dad, right?
He was just bringing her suitors. She's just a prize to be won.
He let her pick.
That's true.
How about the chief in Pocahontas?
I mean,
yes, she should pick her own.
Cocoam's right there. I don't know what she's thinking.
Lean and tan, and it's not her thing, I guess.
Always taking our natural resources.
What other dads? I can't think of any other dads.
They gotta be kings, right?
Other than Triton and
Disney princesses. Mulan's. Dad
Ah.
came to an understanding, like, oh, I can't just treat her like
Yeah, after she saves China.
that's what it takes.
That's what
Finally.
Either she saves China, or I got to kill myself.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta go kill yourself in battle, or I brought the Emperor's sword. You should have brought a man.
So I guess we'll move on to the movies that our perceptions changed after we became a dad, and kind of rewatching the movies and just how the context and perception of these movies changed once you became a father. You kind of unlocked these new thoughts and emotions, and now are watching these movies of these fathers through that lens. So who did I start with? We started with James first, so we'll go with K-Max.
All right, so I like this one more. I've enjoyed this conversation in my head. You guys ever see Mr. Holland's Opus?
Yes.
So Mr. Holland's Opus, 1995. I'll give you a quick little rundown here, just so we can have a conversation. So Glenn Holland, played by Richard Dreyfuss, is an established musician and composer. He takes a leave to pursue a high school music job so he could be closer to his younger wife and his son. And the film covers a 30-year career, so we see a lot of cultural changes, landscape-wise, where he can't connect with students anymore. So he goes from this amazing musician and composer, and now he can't even relate to his students. So in very Jack Black style, School of Rock style, he uses rock and roll and non-traditional methods to reconnect with his students, and he becomes kind of like a rock star. Not literal rock star, but becomes a very popular teacher, the popular teacher that the kids want to go hang out with. They want to join his clubs, join his bands. His son, Cole, very young son, Cole, is found to be totally deaf. And it kind of breaks Mr. Holland, who dreamed his son would share his passions and his love for music and maybe inspire and pick up where he left off, stand on his shoulders, you know. Holland is drawn deeper into his students and distances himself from his own son, leaving his wife to raise Cole pretty much on her own, and even fails to commit to learning American Sign Language, where he could communicate with his son, who desperately wants to speak with his dad and connect with him, but he almost ignores him. So budget issues, to kind of wrap up the story, budget issues kind of endanger the music program, as they do, and commercial. They continue to in all public schools. One of the first things to go are music programs. So the distance between father and son widened further. Finally, both come to a precipice, which is a fancy word I learned. Kind of like a point of no return. They come to a point. So Glenn decides to be a present father, and he makes efforts to connect with his now teenage son, Cole. At the same time, they do away with the music program, and as he's making his way out of the school, he's stopped by a former student who's now the state governor, who was a big music student, leads him into the auditorium where students over his 30-year career have practiced his opus, his manifesto, his writing, his hopes and dreams, and they're playing it for him, and he gets to conduct it, and his son's there. And there's a song called Beautiful Boy that he wrote when his son was being born, about his son and this whole big giant thing. And his whole life he's lived not that. And they're playing it, and the irony's not lost on you as you watch the movie. This Beautiful Boy song. And Cole's sitting there almost like looking at this teenage boy saying, sounds like it's written about me, and yet I've not experienced any of this love from you. So at the end, he sings it to his boy in sign language and sings it beautiful, beautiful Cole instead of beautiful boy. And so it falls way short to me. So I watched this movie in the 90s and loved it, hated it that he was somehow redeemed by this one act of desperation, this Hail Mary. Now then, the assignment was to kind of, how have you changed now that you're a dad? I hate him even more. It didn't redeem him. It didn't look at him differently and say, me becoming a dad didn't make it so that. Now I see it differently, and I can understand how hard it is to raise a kid. And I can see now, he threw himself into work because that's what good dads do. And I'm like, these are, I almost swore, GD cop-outs for dads and for men to throw yourself into work. Because I'm gonna go be the provider now, and I'm gonna go, or make a violent statement that, yeah, no one messes with my kids because I'm a badass dad and you don't mess with my kids. See, I showed you this grandiose thing. It's the day-to-day things with your kids. It's being there. It's showing up. It's showing them compassion, showing them love. And wait for it, drum roll, acceptance. Accepting your kid right where they're at. Just like I said with the first one. That's what ticks me off as a dad now more than it did before I was a dad about Mr. Holland. The big thing is Mr. Holland's Opus, and it should be, I guess it should be, that's his kid. His son is his great masterpiece. That's what we're supposed to get from it. But 9/10 of the film is him not putting time into this masterpiece. And then, because of this one thing he does at the end, it demonstrates that he sees the light and he claims his masterpiece, and his son is moved by it. But, it's like, it fell short to me originally, but then afterwards it just flat out ticked me off that I'm supposed to buy that. That's supposed to be my yummy payoff, that this guy finally sees the light. But it's like, no, that's not how parenthood works. It's not that grandiose action. It's not that grand romantic gesture. It's not throwing yourself on the grenade. It's showing up and being there throughout. Best you can. As best you can. And that's all any of us have to offer. And when I look at that now, I'm filled with resentment. Even when I was like kind of trying to watch it again, I'm like, fast forward this idiot. Fast forward this idiot. I can't even handle watching him. Mm-hmm. I just got more and more angry thinking of myself as a dad and trying to meet far from perfect, but trying to meet my kids right where they're at. And even my new guy, Logan, like trying to find where he's at and meet him where he's at and accept him and love him and have hopes and dreams and try to nurture those things and still push them to the right level they need to be pushed and also give them success at the level they need to be successful. I feel that way as a teacher too. It's like so many folks see it, I got to get, have this great gesture or make sure they all pass this, or I got to push them to be homecoming king or the captain of the football team. And if they don't, let's just shuffle them off somewhere and put them somewhere that they get by. And it's like, kind of like a father thing. It's like this teacher here, he was connecting more with the kids, the outstanding music students, and was throwing himself more into it. It makes me even more mad as a dad because I'm like, you're establishing these bonds that you should be putting the work in with your own kiddo. He needs you so much, and the kid, he had, a decade of growing up thinking that his dad is just, and then all of a sudden his dad does this one gesture, and it's like, it's not enough, dude. It made me more angry at him. So that's it, Mr. Holland's Opus.
Like if that was my dad, he would not be given forgiveness. And he had this many years to try to connect with your son that long, and then throws the last Hail Mary thing, and the kid accepts him. Like that's crazy. I don't know if they're...
Yeah. Interesting though that it still comes down to this a father figure doing this big gesture. In this case, it's not self-sacrifice, killing himself or whatever, falling on a grenade.
Not nearly as noble.
Or, pushing the button on the asteroid, but it's still, is this what a good dad does? Does he just makes this one grandiose gesture to win the hearts of his kids, and then he goes back to whatever he was doing before?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that even this is still one big thing that the father figure is doing in a movie. That's okay. That's what we.
And all the characters see it, and they're all like, yeah, look at, he gets it now. Yeah, look at that. He's a good dad. I'm like, he's not a good dad, man. He is not a good dad, man. And there's people throughout. The mom and I can't remember who was played by. The mom in the movie is a saint because she sticks by and she raises the boy and she tries to continue to tell the kid he does love you. He just doesn't know how to show it. Mm. He does love you. And maybe there's some of that there. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm a little hard on him, but time hasn't helped that. And Fatherhood hasn't helped that. Fatherhood has only galvanized how ticked I am at this guy. Again, I'm not saying because I do it perfect. Way, way not the case. But it's the effort that counts. I think. I mean, that's the best. That's the best any of us can do is we show up and do our best for our kiddos. And in that movie, it's like you didn't show up, and if the best is this one act, then you fall short, my friend.
Well, like his best efforts were reserved for other things.
Oh yeah. So. And it's almost like he gets his payoff. They get to, they create this great musical masterpiece, and it's still the work that he did with them paid off for him. And it's like, all right.
Right. The sacrifice was, did he lose was the job still there? Did he not have the job anymore?
I think that they were doing it. I think they're doing it as his outro. It was like his last final thing. So I'm not even sure, if I'm being honest. I just saw red.
So he still got to keep his number one being music. And
I feel like it.
Like, well, you know what? I can bring you into this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I can bring you into this world of mine.
Yeah. You're worthy now.
Yeah.
You can kind of hear, because he could kind of feel the vibrations from their orchestra and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, see, he can relate to me on my level. It's like, screw you, man. It's like, it's not what parenting's about. And again, it's a very personal thing because, there's not much that matters more than our kids to us. And fatherhood's a big deal.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Good one.
Thanks.
Nice. I like that it was, you went double down.
Yeah, I thought, and I was thinking, there were several that I was thinking that, okay, they do it, And I threw a couple titles by you guys, and I was like, but then I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring the thunder on Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, not him, but the character. He's a little smug.
Yeah, he's smug in half his movies.
He's smug. He's smug in most of his movies. And what about Bob? He wasn't kind to Bill Murray. That's just it. He's never gone. He'll close the door.
All right,
Nice.
Tin Man, what do you got?
All right, so the last one I went with was The Little Mermaid, 1989. I didn't see the new one, so I don't know. But so I'm with my wife, and I'm talking about the assignment, and I'm like, okay, so what movie is there that before I was a father, I thought one way, and now that I'm a father, what other way what movie? And she goes, oh, Little Mermaid. I was like, oh, oh yeah. And she was like, oh, right off the bat, because she was like, I had such a strong agreement with Ariel as a young woman. So I was like watching it. So I went back to watch some of it again. I watched a bunch of like reviews on it where there was one review that was like therapists reviewing.
That's always fun.
And they were like, they were just crapping on him the whole time. I'm like, these new age therapists. So he gets mad and yells at Ariel for going to the surface. And they're like, ooh, you can't do that. I'm like, he's told her multiple times not to go to the surface. They call them fish eaters. They're going to harpoon you. You're going to get killed. You're going to get killed by these people who all they do is bring trash and kill all our kind. Quit going over there. And apparently he's told her multiple times. She's got 6 other siblings. Apparently they listen. They don't have a problem. It's just the baby.
Apparently they listen. Apparently they are capable of listening.
And when you're young and you watch this and you see Ariel, she's 16. 16 seems so old to us. When you're 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Cut the cord, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. She's 16. She can make her own choices now. And looking back, and I'm like, man, they could kill her. Like she could clearly get killed, get taken. Trey might have to bring the thunder just to get her to understand. Mm-hmm. And if you have headstrong teenagers of your own, coming down hard might be the worst option. But it's understandable at least.
Yeah.
You kind of get where he's coming from, but he doesn't make the connection to understand her either. So as the film goes on, he finds like her little cave that she'd been keeping all these treasures from the surface and destroys them all. So the therapist picked that apart too. I'm like, I get it. As I was younger, I was like, oh man, I can't believe how mad he is at her. Like, that's messed up. Now that I'm a little older, I'm like, yeah, that probably went too far. And now that I have teenage daughters, I'm like, Yeah, buddy, you're just gonna have to have just a conversation. You're gonna have to have a conversation and just be like, well, here's what my worries are, and if they understand where you're coming from, they proceed with that understanding now. So,
Yeah.
And then, she don't listen. She goes to the surface. She takes off with Eric. She goes to the Sea Witch, who gets later described as a demon, as a monster, and she don't listen because you know what she's gonna get? She's gonna get her legs. She's gonna go to the worst place possible to get the legs, and then she's gonna go find her prince, who she loves. She's seen him twice, never spoke with him, but loves. She's in love. Okay. When I was a kid, I was just like, yeah, go get your legs. I don't know. But goes to the surface, sees Eric, Prince Eric, doesn't kiss him in time for the third day because Ursula gives her 3 days to. Love's true kiss, or true love's kiss.
She was trying, too.
She was trying. She's macking her game.
She was trying.
She's just employing all of the Sea's master composer to bring the mood up so that they could make it happen. And doesn't happen. She gets turned into a slug. Well, as she's about to get turned into a slug and become Ursula's for life, for all eternity on the contract, Triton intervenes. No, you can't take my daughter. She goes, no, I have this contract, and it's binding. You can't stop it. He shoots it with the trident, and nothing happens to it because it's a binding contract. She goes, or you could take her place.
Oh.
Triton does not. He spends all of 2 seconds thinking about it and then takes Ariel's place. Like that.
Oh.
After he's told her no numerous times, the dangers that are there, that could be there to ensue, and he takes on the burden, takes on the whole thing. He becomes these little slug things that belong to Ursula. She takes over as queen of the seas, which lasts 2 minutes until she gets killed. But
nothing
he's
wrong with
willing
lasting 2 minutes. Side note. We'll fix that. We can edit that out.
2 minutes can be an eternity.
So about, no, I'm just
go
going to
ahead.
I'm not going to add anything to that.
So, she gets killed. Everyone comes back. Triton comes back. But he's willing to sacrifice himself like that to trade spots for her. It's not his life. It's not without her, but it's to save her life. Trade that position.
And I recall at the end, as Triton he learns this valuable lesson, and he says, I'm gonna miss her, and gives her her legs so she can get married.
Legs. Yeah.
So he learned his lesson, but she learned diddly squat. In fact, she remained on the surface for the rest of her life.
She remained on the surface for the rest of her life.
As far as I know, I didn't watch any of the sequels. I don't think.
She still has yet to have a full conversation with this husband of hers.
Yeah.
She sacrificed her entire life for at 16. And Triton's like, you know what? I can't stop her. She's going to go to the worst places possible to get this done. I might as well put my blessing on it and just hope for the best. And as a father, you're looking back and be like, you know what? Good on you for trying to keep her, scaring her from the way. You got 6
others, I guess.
You got 6 other kids that listen,
Yeah, I mean, the sacrificial thing, though, I get it, though. I mean, take me instead of her.
And
that's easy.
And that's the thing, is Triton holds, like the therapists were picking him apart like crazy, and I'm just like, I don't know. He seems like the most understanding, reasonable person out of everyone here. And as a kid, I didn't think that, but now as a father, I'm like, he's trying to keep her away from the most dangerous things out there that he knows of.
Yeah.
And now that she's found true love after 3 days of looking at him from a distance. But
what's sickening too now that I think about it is the moment that she was turned back into a mermaid. It wasn't how do I save my dad. It was how do I get back to Eric. Right.
Yeah.
That's what happened, right?
Eric is the one who killed Ursula with the ship. He because she creates this.
Well, that's just out of self-defense, though.
That's true. She's killing everyone, and so he stabs her with the ship, drives the...
It's not like, oh, my future father-in-law is in trouble. I need to kill
he
the
don't know
sea
who he
witch.
is. Yeah. In fact, the beginning of the movie, the pirates, or they're not pirates, but all the ship crew, I just assume they're pirates if they're on a ship. The ship crew goes, oh, King Trajan. He's like, who's Trajan? So he don't even know that this person has a name at the very beginning of the movie. So he inadvertently saves his life. Well, at least turns him back from a squid thing.
A loogie.
Yeah. Armless, legless.
A loogie.
Sea cucumber.
Sea cucumber with eyes. And a handlebar mustache.
Yeah, he kept that.
He kept the mustache. But like after, like, as being a father, I'm like, you know what? Try and... Good on you. You tried. You kept, maybe you should have had more of a conversation with Ariel, but she's going to the surface regardless. And then grants her, I'm going to miss her, but that's who she's going to be. Here's your legs. Literally, here's your legs. You can go walk on your own 2 feet now.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's a good one.
I like what Vaz said. Triton learns, but she doesn't learn anything.
She don't learn nothing. That's for parts 2, 3, and 4. Little Mermaid.
I think that's an awesome choice. I wouldn't have seen that one.
Only because my wife was just like, oh man,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
had such a, like, I can't believe he won't let her go live her life. And then afterwards, she's like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, that's so good. That's so good. I'm bringing it to the podcast.
That's
then.
so good, man.
So that's where...
So the one I chose, also a Disney movie, Incredibles, 2004.
Oh, I did not see this coming.
So watching it when it first came out, cool. Superhero movie, and it's Disney, cool. And at the time, I remember it being a little bit more complex for being like a Disney animated movie, kind of like different emotions and everything, but they weren't. It wasn't like I had thought about them or what each character was going through. It was a bad guy, and Mr. Incredible was going to stop him, right? I rewatched this today, but before that, I mean, it's probably been a handful of years since I last saw it. So watching it today, I don't know if there's a character I relate to more than Mr. Incredible. He's stuck in this job that he has to do to provide for his family. There's no getting out of this job because he's been provided with. This is his opportunity because he messed up. Well, because of his past, he has to accept this one. If he doesn't accept this one, he's got to move his family or whatever.
I think we've all been in jobs.
So
have we all been in jobs where like this is providing for your family?
Yeah.
So
this is why you have the job.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
for your family, and then you try to be a good person and help, and your job says no, you're gonna make us money. You're gonna do things by our book.
It's an enormous clock.
And if you try to be a good person, you get in trouble. Okay. And then you go home, and it's just the same things over and over. And they're watching him in certain scenes. I'm like, oh, I think that's me. Where like just the littlest things tick him off. Like,
Kids, listen to your mother.
exactly. I was sitting on the couch, and I told my wife, I said, I think I relate to Bob Parr. And that moment, he was like, kids, listen to your wife or listen to your mom. Yeah. I was like, oh, whoops. Or like, she's like, Bob, it's time to intervene. And he's like, I'm intervening. He lifts up the table like, oh, look at me, I'm Big Dub Dad, and all I can do is big dumb things, or like, asking the kid like, oh, you got to do something. And he's like cutting the steak and gets too excited and breaks it. And another thing I got to take care of. And then the whole idea of just like, you knew your prime was before the kids. You and your wife were having fun, being fit and doing whatever you wanted. And then you're trying to get some sort of excitement by by trying to live that life still. You know, they're trying to, want to catch a robber? You know, like, you want to do some of that? You know, like, hey, you want to play ball on Saturday? You know, and so there's all of that, trying to relive like whatever you were good at before, like trying to hold on to any of that.
Glory days?
Yeah. Getting the chance to improve when, you know, he's fired from his one job, but Mirage sent that thing to him, so he accepts the new job of just fighting the thing, but it's something that he loved when he was younger. So then I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, what if I got a job where it was just whatever I liked to do as a kid? You know, what if my job was just to play lacrosse, you know, and I get paid millions of dollars for it? And so he gets to do what he loves for a living.
What were they paying him? Triple his annual salary?
Something. But he would come home as a better man for it. You know, like he's more attentive to his kids, playing with them, more attentive to his wife, helping her in the house.
Pretty hot too, man.
And
I mean,
and
Limber.
as he's attentive, she returns.
That's right.
attentiveness,
Yeah.
There was one time they did it 3 times before he even went to work.
That's right.
He was in the suit, and she's like, no, and brings him
That's
back.
right.
And you know, it's a Disney movie, but you know what?
She got some serious back.
So 3 times before even going to work, as parents of two kids.
They are superheroes.
So
They are superheroes.
She's very bendy.
So
Phoebe says that in Friends, by the way. Sorry. You should be. I'm very bendy. I'm very excited for all the sex. You should be. I'm very bendy. I'm sorry, boss.
just that character, I'm like, wow, like, yeah, if I got to shed some pounds, I'm sure life would be just like this right now. You know, he's working out, he's pulling the trains when, you know, as his curls and stuff, and so like as a father, that's the dream, is to just do what you love, get paid for it, have fun with your kids without any issues, come home to your wife and have fun. Say
Thrice.
It starts to go downhill. Well, I guess not downhill, but Helen's her name, right? His wife.
Yeah.
Notices a hair that's not her color on her thing. So the whole thing, oh, he's happy, he must be having an affair, right? So just that beginning right there, rewatching it as an adult, I'm like, oh my goodness, like they got this character down to a T. And then, you know, towards the end, figures out that them all working together, like they're the Incredibles, they all have the same suit by the end. It's kind of, you don't need to sneak off and do this, like just incorporate all of us and we do it together type of thing. Yeah. So it was like, okay, you know, I can learn things watching this movie as a father. Like, okay, I don't have to set aside my own time to say, okay, family, I need this time so I can go work out. It's just, hey, how can we do this together? How can I improve myself as a person, as a man, as a husband, as a father by doing it together? You know, what can I do?
Man.
So, like I said, the crazy, just watching the first half hour of this movie, I'm like, this guy's me. And not trying to like boost myself up like, oh, I'm Mr. Incredible. But all these emotions, all these little things too, where he's just so like tired and beaten down in the beginning of the movie, where, you know, it's just, I'm doing my job, I'm providing for my family. And then when he actually gets the energy and it's reciprocated, and like just how he's able to build that confidence up again, and it's done just by, you know, you be a good person and good things happen, and then it goes back and forth, and you know, he's back to his prime again. So I'm like, oh, I guess that's all I got to do. Start lifting trains and such.
Like, challenge accepted.
Get a job working for a supervillain.
Yeah, but you think it's such a relatable character. I think that's probably, such a successful franchise now. That
It was
to feel that, to relate like that. I mean, that's like that's movie making and storytelling 101 is give them someone they can relate to.
And this is one that doesn't have the big sacrifice, the big moment, the big act that the father figure does to be.
He tries to send everyone away and go like, I'm going to handle this, and they'll stop him. Like, no, we're doing this together, because he tries to do it. He tries to be like, no, I'm going to, this is my thing. I have to take it down. Like, no, you don't. And so it's kind of nice that they did.
Yeah, like I said, they all have the same uniform on, and they're all fighting together. So it was all the little things too. Even as he's improving in that montage, he's spending time with the kids. He's throwing the football with the son. So it's all the little things that he starts doing once he gets that confidence back. I thought it was pretty cool that movie kind of broke that rhythm of dad's the father figures in movies just kind of being good for one big gesture. So that was my
That's really
pick.
cool that The Incredibles broke that. Because you got to think of other ones where the dad does more. It's hard to. They do more than one like fell swoop. Like one redeeming moment.
Which probably makes better movies than just a.
Yeah, if you can see that one.
Good, solid dad all the way through.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess of the ever-present dad. But I think it's cool that...
Or a redemption arc for him. Because if he's dying, it's going to be because of some type of redemption that ends with that. But
the thing about that, too, is like he is not just like a ancillary character. It's about him.
He's the main character.
It's his depressed... I think about that too. I'm like, Vaz's getting a little depressed as
there's a dad who was captured and then heard the plane blew up and had the chance to kill the secretary.
Oh yeah,
and doesn't do it.
Yeah,
he's like, even at your lowest, or whatever. I forgot what he says to him.
Even when you had nothing to lose.
Yeah, when you had nothing to lose. Yep, and he still chooses not to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
I like ending up on that because, just from all the things we discussed tonight, and even your Road to Perdition was so dark. Perdition was so dark to end up and then go from my depressive. I went even worse, and then I thought yours was great, but it's almost too real. It's like, we have so little control over these girls, and then getting to Vaz, I'm like, I needed that. It's like a palate cleanse. It's like, look at he is us, and he did all the little things and showed up, and it paid off for him.
Yeah.
So someday you're telling me it's all going to pay off for us?
well, what's even more relatable is like he got the new job, and then he started to feel better, and like I just started a new job in the last 2 months, and I'm feeling better about.
Oh, I love that.
Switch. So that's why I said that we could only have this conversation about fatherhood, about movies. I feel like right now, all together.
Yep.
Especially with The Incredibles fitting into how relatable Bob Parr is to me.
Because how he was at the insurance agency he was working at is like how I felt when I was at Delphi. I was in that factory, just dragging my feet, hated the job, couldn't stand it, go home just to be pissed off, just be tired and be like, oh.
And like you can see yourself too, like you're being that way, but you can't change it just because you're just so tired and...
Almost like it was like if I went to work, I can get away from all this hassle at home because at the time I was at the in-laws. I was like, and then I get to go home to get away from this place, just to go back there to get away from this place, and you can't leave. It's the most money I was making at the time, and it was providing for the family.
Well, that's
it. Was buying the car, it was paying for the house.
Right, yeah. Seriously, that is. That's like you got to get a job to provide. This is what you need to do. And okay, so we did come to the aid of the moms there late in the episode of the podcast. We did acknowledge it. So let's throw a bone to the dads out there. Let's throw a bone to the Hollywood dads out there. It's a tough gig. It is a tough gig to do it right. It's a tough gig to do it right. And I think of all the characters that we talked about, and Voz talked about it with the dad, the dad in Dead Poets. You know,
Perry.
it's funny. One of the things is we're like right away we think what made him that way, especially when they're a movie character. Mm. And I think that about our own dads too. It's like what made them and shaped them that way. They had a dad too. They had an experience, and they were shaped by the dad that only knew what this is how dads are.
Right.
So I mean, even Road to Perdition guy, man, it's like he had a dad and he had an upbringing too. Sometimes you're a product of what people expect of you and what you're raised with. And so, hats off to Jimmy, Bear, and Ben, because I think this is good company here. And we're not perfect folks, but we're trying our butt off with our kiddos, and we value fatherhood. Mm-hmm. We haven't figured it out yet. I know I haven't, but 52 and counting. 19 years of it, of solid efforts. And however long I got left, man, they're going to get solid efforts. It won't be perfect, but...
And there's no end to it either. You just keep learning. And,
oh, gosh. Wait a minute, what?
Each of my kids are so different from the next one. Even though they might not seem so different because they look all...
No, they seem different to me. They personality-wise.
So different. And connecting with each one of them is a different task. And it literally is a different task. And I was like, okay, with this kid, we got to go do something fun. We have to go to the mall. We have to go give them some nice time, or they need friends, or they need this. Or like, oh, he plays this instrument. Let's make sure we go do this with this instrument. This one just wants to fight with you. So go jump on a trampoline. You're going to stretch out so your back isn't tight and go fight with this kid. And it's something different for each of the kids. But one thing that I really like is that I can sit and talk with my kids. I can sit and just have a conversation. We can go hey, we're going to Tim Hortons. What do you want? And then we'll just sit in the car. So what have you been up to? And they'll talk to me.
Yeah.
And it's nice because growing up, I didn't have too many of those with my parents.
Sure.
And I talk with my mom and dad all the time now. Mm-hmm. I love my parents.
Yeah.
And they were busy. They had a lot going on, and me and my dad butt heads so much. I tried to fist fight him. We got into it so much when I was younger, but now I have a great relationship with my parents, and I'm really glad that I have. And I kind of want to be able to make sure that I have that with all 5 of my different ass kids.
Yeah,
I gotta try to play a game and try to make sure that I'm like, that any issues or problems that I have with them or their behavior, that it has to come with a conversation. Because there's definitely a side that I'm not seeing or they're seeing a different way, and then coming to some kind of understanding. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy. Like, sometimes those conversations are not easy.
I think filmmakers have a struggle with it, too, because they fall into stereotypes a lot. They're like, the dad has to have this. They got to be this archetype. They have to have these character traits. Otherwise, who's going to buy it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then maybe it swings the other way a little too far sometimes for me, for my liking, where the dad is a little bit too far away from the traditional dad. Mm-hmm. And I find myself fighting for that balance then between what Hollywood is saying a dad is right now, as opposed to what Hollywood said a dad was with Wall-E, the cleavers and whatnot.
Yeah, yep.
It's somewhere in the middle somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
And in my experience, it's different, right? Because it's like we're on the reservation. Mm-hmm. And we have the matriarchal society type thing. So there's, we're getting legs pulled out from under us in different ways. And I don't think anybody's trying to be mean about it, but it is definitely a thing.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to end with seeing if we have any good movie dads, if you guys can think of any. I got one in mind right now. I want to see if you guys... I know this is pretty impromptu because I didn't give you...
You give us a little bit of time.
I didn't give you this assignment. But if you guys... I'll give you guys a couple seconds, but...
Yeah.
Best movie dad.
This is great. I like this kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Like this is like jazz. This is like jazz. It's not like rock.
Geez.
This is improv.
You know what? It's not a movie, but I do have one that came to mind.
Okay.
And it's funny because he plays an awful dad in the last one. Red Foreman.
Oh.
So you picking at him in the one movie and Dead Poet Society, and I'm like, yep, he does not deserve it. But I don't know how his character plays against Red Foreman, who plays a dad in the 70s. is Eric Foreman's dad, who's like everyone's afraid of him, gives him a firm, what you need is a firm kick in the ass, kind of dad. And then there's a few scenes, because it's a series-long character. It's not just a snippet. It's just not an hour and a half, section of movie. But how he shows his connection to his son later and later on in the show, you're like, that guy's a good dad. Like that guy's there.
Oh, I got one. C's dad in The Bronx Tale, played by Robert De Niro.
I don't think I've seen it.
The Bronx Tale with is it Chaz Palminteri?
Okay.
Is this mob boss, and C is the kid.
Yes, I did.
And
I have seen
he
clips
gravitates
yes.
toward this mob boss, right? And De Niro, it breaks his heart. First, he starts gets angry and just screams at him like, "You don't go down there. You don't go down there. You don't hang with those people." C grows up a little bit. He's still very close to them, and he's endured himself to this mob boss, and they love him and they treat him good, and it just but and they even go to the fights, right? And De Niro's sitting way up in the nosebleeds, and the mob boss looks and sees C, and he invites him down, and C goes to De Niro. He's looking down there, and De Niro finally goes. He sees him looking down there. He goes, "Go sit with your friends," and he's not even being mean about it. He's like, "No, go. I want you to go sit with your friends." He goes. And and C is like, no, I'm going to sit here with you, Pop. I'll sit here with you, Pop. But he keeps looking up there at him, right? We've been there as parents. You're like, you see that, and it's like, yeah, please go. I bought you concert tickets. They're not good enough. You go ahead with your. And then even at the end, right? There's a lot of things that happen. Hijinks ensue. But at the end, Chaz Palminteri's character, the mob boss, dies. He's in the casket. There's not many people there. And Joe Pesci's character, who's the next in line, CC. He's talking to him and he's like, "You need anything? I'm the new guy, I remember, you stood up for us. You did this." And so it's C sitting there by himself over this crap mob boss. He's sitting there, kind of sitting there. And lo and behold, who comes in? Robert De Niro comes in and puts his hand on his shoulder, stands there with him. And he goes, "Dad, I didn't think I'd see you here." And he goes, "He's your friend." He goes, even though we had differences, he goes, "He was your friend, and he loved you, and he took care of you in the best way he knew how." He goes, "I didn't agree with it." He goes, he did his old little Catholic prayer for him and stuff. And, his love transcended all of the fear, all of the violence, all of the bad decisions.
Yeah.
Even the flat out insolence, like insubordination, the kid just not, his love for his son just permeated throughout the whole film.
He put himself in very precarious situations.
Yes, he did, and he put his dad in tough situations. They were going to hurt his dad because his dad was like, "You stay away from those people."
No, that's what I meant. The dad, though, the dad was putting his foot down on stuff that
to the mob,
making the mob,
Yeah, and
you're
he's
pissing
telling
them off,
and he's telling them right out, "That's my son," and but they respected him a little bit for it.
Yeah,
and and I don't know. I think of that. I was having a tough time with it when you said that, and I thought, there it is, right there.
That's a good one. That's a real good one.
It's De Niro's character in Bronx Tale.
I don't want to change mine because I do like mine, but I did come up with another one.
Let's hear it.
Dill Pendergast. If anybody's ever seen the movie Easy A with
Is it Emma?
Emma Stone, yes.
Ooh.
Emma Stone, where she kind of pretends to be sleeping with some of the students who it gets them popular, and they pretended to do it, and they kind of they're kind of losers that don't have anything going on.
Yeah.
And then after they find out that they slept with her, or they had these kids had sex, then they feel popular and
Emma
accepted.
Stone.
So Emma Stone, pretending to do this, ends up getting paid for it in gift cards and what's random stuff people can pay her for, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just going to tell everyone we slept with you," and she ends up being kind of used by people and then treated poorly about everyone for it.
I see.
So at the same time, did you ever see the movie?
No.
So at the same time, she's a high school student. So at the same time, the one teacher is reading the Scarlet Letter. So she comes in with a big red A on her shirt as she's wearing it. But the dad, played by Stanley Tucci,
Oh, I love him.
he couldn't play more of a go get him tiger, understanding, what's it called, dad.
Yeah.
Funny, silly, funny, what's it called stuff, but it when she's even in her awful parts of the situation, they're still hopeful, trust that their daughter is they're we trust that you know what's best and that we've done a good job getting you here. that you can
I
go
love
through.
that.
So the dad plays a funny,
Yeah.
funny, lighthearted, loving character. So
Yeah.
that's a good one.
That is good.
one.
I
That's
like
good
that a
one.
lot. I want to see that now.
I forgot his
I
name.
like the actor. I like the idea that, you got I'm tired of seeing the oaf, the dim-witted oaf who
Right.
just says, "Oh, shucks, honey, I'm glad you're
Yep,
here to
yep.
save the day." What's
Everyone copying Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
All
What you got,
right.
Vaz?
Anakin Skywalker. No, I'm kidding. Well, before I reveal mine, I want to say what an odd podcast to have about fatherhood and not talk about Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, that's right.
That is a good
could have
one.
been
It's on
somewhere
it's
in
on
there.
the list right there. I'm just
But
reading.
the best movie dad I've got is Mr. Levinstein from the American Pie movies.
Oh yeah.
Eugene Levy.
Yes.
Just everything that his son gets into, he's just, well, that wasn't my cup of tea when I was young, but
You know what? I thought that when I first watched that movie. I thought that about him. I'm like,
cut
Because
your
he
son
plays
with
a quirky, goof kind of fuddy-duddy dad, but no matter what his son gets put into, he's
there for him.
he's there
and you
for him.
see
Yeah.
you see the love that he has for his kiddo.
Catch your son with parts and pies, and well,
Did he get his junk glued to something? Take him to the hospital.
yeah, Jim mistook the lube for super glue
Oh my gosh.
and glued himself to himself.
That's a good one. I like that.
That's a real good
Eugene
one.
Levy.
I mean,
Yeah, just whatever his son was, just supported him. Let him know. Kind of I think it was the first one. He brought out the magazines. Now this one shaved. As, so he's having these awkward conversations, but it's hey, I gotta show my kid this stuff, and so I left some condoms in there.
At one point he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're the expert." At one point, he gets a little bit defensive.
Or the beginning of the second one, he's like, I want to have a drink with my kid, and walks in on him with the girl.
Yeah.
So doesn't do anything bad. Just I didn't catch her name, but hopefully my son caught her name.
Man, that's a really good one.
Yep.
So, but yeah. So, question for you guys. Last question. In which order do you want to watch? We have 2 movies lined up for fatherhood. Do you want the one critical of fathers, or do you want the one that has perception changed with fatherhood first?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't care.
Okay.
I think I would.
Do you want to end on a high note, or do you want to end on a low note?
I prefer to end on a high note.
Okay, so we'll watch the one critical of fathers first.
Okay.
So we're going to watch Train to Busan. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of this. I've not watched it.
Okay.
I've watched most of it.
Oh, okay. So, do you guys have it or no? Do you guys know how to access it?
What's it? Is it on? Is it
I don't
streaming
know.
anywhere?
If it's streamable, I will stream it. Otherwise, I'll watch it with you. I'd prefer to watch it with you if I could.
I do have it on Blu-ray. I think I even have it in Steelbook.
How old is it?
2016, 8 years ago.
I was going to say 8 years ago.
Yeah, 2016.
And this is the low one, the bad example.
This is critical of fathers.
Okay.
Okay, so that's going to be next week's?
Yes.
Okay, so Train to Busan for next week.
Is it streaming anywhere that we can give a quick plug to?
Tubi.
All right, Tubi. I guess you are
Let's try this one.
you are our only hope.
Maybe Amazon? Let me try. Or it's just asking me if I can purchase it there.
Peacock. You got Peacock or no?
I do not.
I do.
I think it's on there. Well, anyway, while we talk and discuss how to watch it, this was our episode on fatherhood. And hopefully you join us next week where we break down Train to Busan. Bye.